I've been editing YouTube videos for a little while now, 5 years to be exact. I've spent probably like 7,000 hours on the editing timeline and done somewhere in the ballpark of 20 million views on long form content. We're talking strictly YouTube content. And the only reason that I've been able to do this is because of my systems. Like James Clear said, we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. LeBron James didn't become one of the greatest NBA players of all time by simply thinking about how good he wanted to be at it. He's always had systems in place where he showed up when the 99% of other people didn't feel like showing up. He never doubted if he wanted to show up in practice. It was a system where it was like a robotic command where there's no thought involved, it's just simply following the plan. Or in a more practical terms for us creatives, think of Mr. Beast. He didn't build the biggest empire YouTube's ever seen just by showing up when he was motivated. He too had systems in place to where he showed up every single day and never second guessed it. It was rep after rep, just like how you grow muscle in the gym. And so I also have systems in place that keep me in check and guarantee that every single piece of content that I make is going to be something that people want to watch, not the type of content that you hope people watch. And this is exactly why I'm making this YouTube video, because I want to give you all the sauce on what I use in every single video. Nothing gatekept, just simply my process. So getting into it, what is the step one of editing a piece of content? What do I do when I sit down on my computer, boot up my laptop, and open up my editing software? Well, for me, outside of this YouTube channel and my personal brand, I'm still an editor full time, so I need to get it downloaded. And for Cameron and I, we use Frame.io for all of our file transfers. He uploads all the footage here, and I upload all the rough drafts here. So not a paid sponsorship or anything, but if you're working with a client, Frame.io is our go-to for all of our file transfers. So I download the footage here, but where do I store it? I actually use external SSDs because all of our videos take up anywhere from like 80 gigabytes up to like 2 terabytes one time. And I use multiple SSDs because I'm too cheap to just ball out and get one massive one. I always just buy one small one at a time. So I personally happen to have like 3 external SSDs, but organizing them in your computer is going to be a massive help in the long run. If you've never edited a project before, you're not really going to understand how big of a deal this actually is. But once you've done hundreds of pieces of content, you're going to understand why organizing your files is so critical. So for me, I start off with naming the folder the same name of my client. So say you were editing my YouTube video. In your case, you would have a folder that's just Justin Lisenby, for context of what I mean. And within here, I have sub content types. So for example, I edit for Cameron. So I have a folder for Cameron Alford, and he does automotive content on YouTube. So he's always working on different cars. So these sub content folders, I have a dedicated folder for each car that he works on. And so you just need to find out what this would be for you. Like for example, if you're doing tech content, you might have a folder just for PC builds, one for smartphones, one just for reviews, or just some other successful series that you have on your channel. You get the point though, just figure out what these content buckets are for you. And then breaking it down a little bit further, inside of these subfolders, I have the actual video that we're working on. So for me, in this video that you're watching, I have it broken down into my Creator Club folder, which that's this whole personal brand, into my YouTube folder, because I do both YouTube and Instagram. And then inside of there, we have the folder for this video, the Ultimate Video Editing Workflow, which is where I keep all the footage that I filmed for this video. This might sound like a huge process if you only have one video or 2 videos and you just want to leave your footage laid out everywhere just like the mess in your room. But trust me, you're going to be so glad that you built this foundation early on rather than later in your editing journey. So now all of our footage is on the computer, it's stored properly, and now we're ready to rip on the editing timeline. So what do we do now? Well, guess what? The organizing is not done yet. For most of the long form content that I edit, I typically use Final Cut Pro, which has the ability to break projects down into libraries, into events, and then into your individual project. Just look into your editing software and see how organized you can make all of your projects and files and all that. But within Final Cut itself, I have it set up the exact same way all of our folders are set up. So like how I mentioned, I edit videos for Cameron, I have a library just for Cameron, and then all of my events are for all the individual cars, like how we talked about the subfolder types. And then within there, I have the actual video that I'm working on. So now all of our footage is organized, our editing software is organized, and now it's time we can start editing. And to be completely honest, this is where it gets kind of simple. So all I do from here is I just drag and drop all the footage from our folders into the timeline and just double check and make sure all of your clips are in order in the timeline before you start editing anything. So when it comes to the actual editing process, my very first step is to always put a limiter onto my audio. So if I'm talking really loud, nothing's gonna change. Or if I'm talking really quiet, it's gonna stay the exact same. So if I'm talking really loud, nothing's gonna change. Or if I'm talking really quiet, it's gonna stay the exact same. And you do this so that all of your audio is balanced. This is always my step one, because for one, it's just gonna make editing a lot less annoying because all of your audio is gonna sound good. But it's also something that you're gonna have to apply anyway, because if you have bad audio quality, no one's gonna wanna watch your video. Apply a limiter, and I guarantee you that you just increased your watch time. So now all of our footage sounds good, and now it's ready to be actually edited. And so my first real step into editing every single time is to cut up my footage. Here, you just want to delete everything that does not add value to your viewer. So the number one priority in this step is just to cut out all the dead space where nobody's talking or nothing's happening. This is where you're going to be the most vulnerable for all of your audience to click off if you don't do this. Obviously, there's certain circumstances where you can leave it in for a little bit if it was for like a comedic relief kind of moment, but 99% of the time, you're going to want to delete all the dead space. I will also go and delete all my bad takes. If I repeat myself twice, just like that, your viewers are going to immediately feel a friction to your video and want to click off of it. I can guarantee you when I go back and look at my video, I'm going to see a dip in retention right there, but I did it because I want you to see the value of doing that. I'll also go back and delete all of the filler words. So these are words that just don't add any value, such as like, and so, words like that just literally do not add anything to your video. And then finally, the last idea you need to think about when cutting up all of your footage is actually going to be the most important one, that is also the hands down most difficult one to master. It's not easy, and it's one that I'm still working on to this day, but it's the one that's going to have the most heavy impact on how professional your video actually feels. This is the type of thing that keeps you watching a Mr. Beast video, and then maybe why a channel is stuck at a couple of 100,000 subscribers when they have so much potential for more. And this tip is going to be to delete everything. Analyze every single word and sentence and ask yourself if it genuinely adds anything for the viewer and their watching experience, or if it's just fluff. This is what separates amazing and just average storytelling. This is extremely difficult to master, but when I go back and look at all the videos that have the highest retention that I've ever edited, were the videos where it literally pained me to delete certain parts of it because they felt so good. But that's how you know that you're gonna have a video that's gonna perform extremely well. But for me personally, cutting up all my footage is the longest part of the editing process because I typically have hours and hours of footage to go through. But the goal of cutting up the footage is so that way when you're done cutting it up, you can go back and watch it and feel comfortable if you were to upload it just as is. Obviously, we're not going to do that, but it should be good enough for someone to be able to click on it, watch it, and extract value from it. Also note that it doesn't need to feel 100% perfect in this phase, because I feel like some people are going to raise the question of, well, I want to add music to my videos. How do I know where to line it up? And that's fine. We're not worried about the music or the audio just yet. You can go back and line everything up after the fact. It's not a big deal. And it's actually the right thing to do, or at least in my workflow. I don't even think about my music choices yet at this stage of the edit. So get your footage cut up, make it feel good, be confident in it, which now leads us into phase 2, which is all of our audio and music. We added the limiter already at the very beginning, but here when you're watching it back, you just want to make sure that it sounds perfect throughout the whole video, because you might need to make some certain adjustments to it. But now I want to answer a big question to all of the music, and that's going to be, why don't we add it when we're cutting up all the footage? Because a theory would say that you're going to save more time if you're not watching the whole video back twice. And if you know my mission here on this channel is to help you save as much time as possible. So it sounds a little contradicting, but this is a simple game of quality versus efficiency, and quality is going to win against efficiency every single time, at least in this context. When you cut up all of your footage, you're now going through it all a second time when you're adding in all of your music, and so now you understand the emotion of the video so much better because you've already gone through it all. If you're editing for a client, you literally never know what the next clip is going to be, or if you're editing your own content, I guarantee you the emotion's going to feel a little bit different when it's all cut up versus just how it felt talking about it. So how are we supposed to predict the emotions as we're cutting it up and pair it with the music that's going to fit it? You really just can't. Or you can, but it won't be as good as it could be if you do it this way. When you pair the emotion of the music to the emotion of the video, it's going to send the message of your video so much further. For example, if you have a video of a ship out at sea with creepy music, it's going to feel very eerie. But if you have the exact same video with a metal breakdown, it's gonna feel like a straight hell yeah core video. It's the exact same video, but these are two wildly different emotions for the human to feel. So this is a massive step to understand when you're editing, because once you have the clarity of going through all the footage once in the first phase of the edit, you're going to be able to pair the music and the video emotions together a million times better than if you did it the other way around. This again is going to help you wildly with your video retention. Your clients are going to be happier, which can earn you more money, which can get your name out further, and then you can go and get different clients or more clients, or if it's your own content, it's just going to grow it further and further and build a bigger audience. So now knowing this, when you go back and just try and add music as you're cutting up the clips, you're going to see exactly why you don't do that now. Also, if you're curious on where to get music for your videos, I personally use Artlist, Epidemic Sound, and MusicBed. I feel like Artlist is really good for finding a very specific emotion. Epidemic is good just for a certain type of song or sound, and MusicBed I find is really good for finding music that has a lot of substance to where you can use that for storytelling. It's just the more expensive option. Again, none of those are sponsored, it's just what I use. Now our video is completely cut up, has great pacing, and now has music to pair with the emotion. And now it's time for our final step that's going to complete our video, which is all the visual effects and sound effects. You've gotten the storytelling down and the video ready to provide value to your entire audience, and this is basically where you get them to stick around and watch the entire thing and not get bored, because as we know, everyone has crazy short attention spans. This is either where you're going to spend a ridiculous amount of time or a super short amount with the exact same quality. And the secret to making this step extremely fast is with the power of presets. Now, this is something that I wholeheartedly believe in. I think presets were the main reason that I was able to get extremely fast with editing. The video you're watching is basically how I got my mind clear on how to edit, and when I combined that with presets to speed up the workflow, this was how I became a machine when it comes to editing. And this is why I also built this business creator club, so that I can offer you all the essential presets that you need as a beginner to intermediate editor. So if you are new or somewhat new to editing, this is going to be absolutely everything you need, and I'll stand by that. Because if you get it and you realize it's missing something that's pretty critical, just let me know on Instagram or something, and I'll add it in and update it for all of us to have. I use these kits for my content, and you can use them for yours as well, and you can find them at justinlisenby.com or in the top link of the description. Also, if you get both the editor's essentials and the animation essentials, you will save $25 off of your order. And I don't mention presets right here to sell you on my product. I sell them because of how much I believe in them and how much of an impact they can make on your edit. Your first 15 seconds of the video are the most critical, but it's more so like the first 5 to 10. So you drove the point home in the footage and you cut it up to a good pace. You added music that fits the vibe, and now you need the visuals to pair with it. And it's really all about learning the balance between being overkill and being effective. And over time, you're also going to learn how to build out a quality timeline when you start using presets to their potential. And to do that, the way that I would think about it is almost think about presets as that being the only way you can do a certain effect. So if you have an idea, figure out how to create it with a preset. And if you do this, you're going to become a master super fast, because you know what you have in your arsenal and how to use it. But the visuals are only half the battle. The other half is going to be the sound effects. Sound effects don't sound like a big deal, but they add so much depth to your visuals and just statements that you make throughout the video. Like, say if I say something completely diabolical, it just sells what I say so much more. Or if I start sliding things around the screen, the whooshes add such a deep layer that can really be felt. The place where I find all of my sound effects are the same places that we've already talked about for all the music, which would be Artlist and Epidemic. And then for our final phase of the edit, we're actually done. That's basically how editing feels when you edit like this. You're gonna go so hard on the edit, and then it's just gonna be done. And you're actually gonna be proud of the work that you created. But now, say you went back and you edited a video clip by clip, adding in everything all at once, I promise you, you were going to feel a million times more overwhelmed. The emotions of the video would not make sense, and your attention graph is going to be a straight cliff. But when you go about it the way that we talked about in this video, you never lose clarity of the mission. You always know what the next step is without cutting a corner or forgetting something. And you have a video that feels genuinely thought out and well put together. And all of this happens just in the order that you edit. Again, James Clear said that we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. If our goal was just simply to create an amazing video, we would not have been able to get there if we didn't have the systems in place to back us up the whole way. I almost like to think about it as if you're walking up a steep hill. You could get there, but it's going to take a lot more effort, and chances are you're going to end up falling backwards and tumble down. But if you had something that was pushing you up the hill, you're using a whole lot less effort and eliminating the chance of you tumbling down. And that is the exact video editing workflow that I've used now for years that has generated me over 20 million views on long form YouTube videos, which by the way, that's YouTube videos just like this that you're watching right now. So hopefully that gives you some confidence so you know that I know what I'm speaking to. But overall though, the best way that you can support me and this channel to help me keep giving you as much advice as possible is going to be shopping at justinlazenby.com and picking up all of your essential presets. I'm someone who has morals, and if I didn't feel like it was a genuinely good product, I would simply not offer it. I would not have the heart in me to do it. But I've seen the power in presets a million times over, and that's the exact reason why I started literally everything that you just watched today. And again, you can save $25 if you pick up both the editor's essentials and the animation essentials. But either way, hopefully you got great value out of this video. My mission with my personal brand is to help people just like you who are super passionate about creating and help you turn it into a full-time career just like I have. And I hope to hear that all of you now have such a more clear head when it comes to editing videos. And if you want to speed up your workflow even more, I dropped a video last week talking about all the best tips that I have learned over the course of the last 4 or 5 years that have radically changed how fast I edit. And it can help you make editing a much more seamless process. I'm going to leave the video right here on the screen for you to go check out, and I hope to see you over there.